Welcome back to Backward Point Podcast, 100th episode extravaganza. Ask us anything Q&A. I don't know why we're doing this. I don't know what questions Bashaar has curated here, but I'm extremely nervous. I'll introduce myself once again for the 100th time on this episode. Or 100th time on this podcast, I should say. My name is Nazar Sayed. You're watching Backward Point. With me, as always, my brother and co-host, Bashaar Sayed. Welcome to 100.
100 episodes / 50K subscribers.
Can you pass me that bat?
Yeah.
Just before I let you finish. This is for the fans. Just a little bat raise for everybody. Thank you. Thank you. How does who does it? Cody does it like this, right? Like he does the bat raise and then does
He also
like
does
that?
the Ben Stokes.
The Ben Stokes. Which one's the Ben Stokes?
It's the Ben Stokes.
It's called. It's the Ben.
Yeah. Took him a while to get that.
The sword slash thing.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to celebrate this. So I'm just gonna raise my bat to all the fans out there. 100th episode for you guys. You guys are the best. Bashaar, please, thank you very much. If you could put that back for me. Sorry, I cut you off in the middle there. People who are watching on or listening on the socials have no idea what happened there if you're on audio format. But if you're on YouTube, you had a little bit of a laugh there. Bashaar, please continue.
I was going to say 100 episodes / 50,000 subscribers. Huge achievement. I didn't think we would get here this fast. But I think when we started the podcast many, many years ago, this was always something we aspired to get to. And I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction, the law of manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somewhere along the line, we have manifested Backward Point getting here. So thank you to everybody who keeps listening in, subscribing, and sending us all your questions. Because Ali Abdal once said that the day he sort of gained a following and he understood that he can always do a Q&A episode whenever he is low on content, that's when he knew he made it as a creator.
But this is the complete opposite because this is like peak, like the peak Backward Point content. We didn't ask us anything. So it was a non-cricket related Q&A. I know a lot of these questions are going to be Q&A cricket related anyways, but there's a few of them which are just, I don't know if I want to get...
The moment we said ask us anything,
when is Bashaar getting married?
A lot of questions on my relationship status, my marriage date. I felt like I was in a crowd with Pakistani aunties.
You know, at this point, you got to invite everybody to your wedding, right? 50,000 of them?
Yeah, sure.
And they'll show up.
Virtually. I'll send
They
you
will
guys
show
a
up.
Zoom link.
I think we should get this started. As always, if you guys want to help and support the podcast, the Patreon is the best way to do it. We are actually introducing a lot of new things now that the quote-unquote new season of Backward Point is starting. There's going to be digital assets that you can get. There's going to be merch stuff. There's going to be special videos. Like there's going to be a brand new tier, a producer tier that is only going to be for 4 people, which is going to be a lot of money, but it's going to be out there. So if you guys want to join the Patreon train, right now is the time to do it. Also, you get perks like the question and answers. Like we answer all of the Patreon questions.
Every single one of them.
Every single one. We really hope that most of them are respectful, which 100% of them are. But every now and then, you
can literally join the Patreon and ask us anything, and we have to answer it.
Yeah, that's the catch of the Patreon. So we're going to start with the Patreon, and then we're going to go down to the Discord questions, the second most important family for us. Then Instagram and Twitter will also be there. I'll start the questioning, Bashaar. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Number 1, Zain Ali asks, how do you see the content on the channel evolving as you shoot for 100,000?
The first thing is just to improve on what we've been doing. Yeah. That I think has to stay consistent. And I want to be a better orator, better cricket analyst. I don't think we've ever considered ourselves to be experts.
Yeah.
We're just 2 brothers out here giving our opinions and our thoughts on how cricket should be played, what Pakistan cricket should do. And I think firstly to improve on that. And secondly, probably have more time to do live streams, watch alongs. And I know for a fact that we want to branch off and do like actual cricket content. Like there is a Bashaar versus Nazar cricket match being recorded very soon. So I want to branch off and like actually shoot cricket stuff.
Yeah, take part in the actual cricket of it all. I think that's what we want to see the podcast / channel evolve into, because We look at Cricket District, we look at Club Cricket Badger, we look at all these guys. Backyard Cricket UK is huge right now on the TikToks and the Instagrams. The kids are watching it, Bashar. And that's something that we're always keeping an eye out on how we can keep it fresh, keep it evolved. I know the podcast will remain in this form or another forever. I think that's my opinion of it. But I want to add so many new little elements that just to make it more exciting for everybody. So yeah, well said. From Kavish, we have I do not have a specific question, but a message. Bashaar, Nazar, your content always brightens the day. I love how you manage to make me laugh and think at the same time. Thanks for being such a great companion.
Oh,
Kavish, man, you're making us all emo here, man. I really appreciate it. It's friends like Kavish that really help us and push us to keep doing what we're doing. Trust us, there are days that are very, very low and we do not want to sit across from each other, but we do it. And it's for days like this where we get people like Kavish to come out and support. So I appreciate that.
question from Yusuf. Yusuf says, which country has the best Pakistan cricket fans? UAE, USA, UK, or Canada?
I'm going to say the worst country that has Pakistan cricket fans is Pakistan itself. I think the best country that has Pakistan cricket fans, I think it's got to be the UK.
Me too. I was going to say the UK. I don't know if it's because we've been there and we've seen Pakistan play World Cup matches in the UK, and we've seen how sophisticated the crowd in Lords can be, and how wild the crowd in Birmingham could be.
I think it's the culture. I think it's so ingrained in their culture. The fact that they have cricket, a season for cricket, they can go out and watch county games and like just high intensity cricket games at will in the summertime. For us, it's like we gotta wait for the GT20 or every now and then the ICC will throw us a bone and be like, hey guys, we're not gonna have a match in Canada, but New York is like 4 hours away, so you can come and watch it. So for us, for Canadian cricket fans, I think it's more of like they love to talk about cricket. Whenever we go anywhere now, people want to debate us, they want to talk cricket with us. With the UK, it's more self-contained and it's a lot more prevalent, I believe. So that's why I think the UK Pakistan cricket fans, and they show up every time, bro. Like
Pakistaniya?
Yeah, Pakistaniya. From Faizan. Is this our Faizan?
Faizan.
Oh, Faizan is a childhood friend of mine. We've known each other since we were 9 or 10 years old, and he has joined the Patreon, and I really appreciate that. Faizan, you're the best. Do you think we should move on from Babar Azam being as the captain? If yes, who should be your captain and why?
The question is, what we've been asking ourselves for the past few months. And ever since the debate with Babar Azam taking captaincy back came about, our stance has been that Babar should not have taken captaincy back. It's put in a bad taste in everyone's mouth with Shaheen Afridi being given the captaincy being taken away from Shaheen Afridi, and with all of the politics grouping and the disunity within the team. For all those reasons, and the reason that Babar was sort of a mediocre captain, a captain who did not evolve with the times, and he's been given a free hand for at least 3 to 4 years of his entire captaincy tenure. So we couldn't see any improvements in Babar's captaincy. And because of all those reasons, we felt Babar should not take captaincy back.
Yeah.
But Babar being Babar did take it back. So my short answer is that Babar should not be captain for Pakistan. I think he needs to move on and focus more on his batting and figure out how he can be the greatest Pakistani batsman of all time.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I think who should be in his place? There's a very strong contention for Shad Masood. There's a very strong contention for bringing Shaheen back.
There's some chats of Fakhar Zaman.
Fakhar Zaman is in the works.
Whoever it should be, like whether it's Shaheen coming back or whether it's Shad Masood being given captaincy, I think it should be a decision that's announced for a long time.
Yes.
At least a couple of years.
Yes.
So everybody within the team has the security that this is the guy who we have to look up to. And come rain or shine, it's going to be him leading the Pakistan team. So there's no chances of lobbying or grouping or politics to make him captain or make that person captain. Once we know that person X is captain for the next 2 big tournaments, they'll have no choice but to follow him.
100%, I agree. The second part of his question was also if you could please share your point of view on Amir Shahzad's comments regarding Babar Azam's strike rate and him not being a big match player. Were they justified or too harsh? Congrats on 50K and 100 episodes. Love from Gulistan Johar. I think we've already made our comments on Amir Shahzad very clearly. I think there is a lot of trash in his comments, and every now and then he'll throw a nugget of wisdom. That's my opinion of Ahmed Shahzad's comments. So
I think some of Ahmed's comments are like the stats he's mentioning are valid.
okay,
Like Babar's strike rate in T20 World Cups or Babar's strike rate in power plays. All of those stats are concerning.
but the
And
packaging is the problem.
it's who's saying it.
Yeah.
It's Ahmed Shahzad saying the stat. The stat, if that's said by Nazar may be better.
Fair enough. Moving on to You'll Never Know Who I Am, also from Patreon. When is Bashaar getting married? Finally, it's here. The question we've all been waiting. Bashaar, when are you getting married? Are you going to announce it on the podcast right now?
Yeah, I'm actually looking up a quote from actually my favorite TV show of all time, which is The Office.
Yep.
And it's the episode titled Chair Girl, where Michael Scott is talking about being single and what it's like being single. So just give me 1 second.
Yeah, but we'll come back to this. The second question is Babar Azam the problem? And I think for this question, I left a comment on Patreon and I quoted the Queen, Taylor Swift. And I said, you go listen to Antihero by Taylor Swift and you'll know who the problem is. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. And Babar Azam, I don't know. There's a lot of talks about Babar. There's a lot of, opinions thrown around. I think time will tell who the problem really was.
So when Michael Scott is asked, what's it like being single? He says, I like it. I like starting each day with a sense of possibility. And I'm optimistic because every day I get a little more desperate.
I think that's enough evidence for everybody who's listening out there. When will you get married? There you go.
Guys, I'm single. I'm looking. And whenever something clicks, I'll go for it. But I don't want. See, the thing is that I want a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a wedding. Okay, so no, actually, wait, rewind, pause.
I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
I want a wedding and then I want a marriage, but I'm looking forward to a marriage.
You need to stop. Wait, no, I gotta bring it back. I gotta bring it back. Okay. I have no idea what just happened. I feel like you just had an aneurysm or a stroke.
I'm not looking forward to the actual wedding. I am. But what I want is the marriage.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm crying. This was, oh my God. I'm sorry, guys, that you had to.
I hope you guys got the point.
No, I think a lot of people got a lot of points. I don't think any of them were valid. Okay. Next question is from Umar Siddiqui. He asks, will Nazar ever stop being delulu when it comes to Pakistan's chances in ICC tournaments? And I said, no, I won't. That's not me, unfortunately.
But this guy, I think he needs help mentally.
Did you guys just listen to the past 2 minutes of this podcast? No. The last person is saying I need help is you.
With every tournament, he becomes more delulu.
Yes, I do.
He's at that point in the last World Cup where this guy's moving the weather around. I'm telling him the forecast for Florida. It's raining. There's a storm coming. He's like, no, man, it'll clear up. That's the level of delulu you're at.
It did not rain the day where the match was supposed to happen. The outfield was wet.
I told you that the stadium has bad drainage. And you were like, no, it's going to dry up.
And I told you it wouldn't rain. And it didn't.
This is not Pakistan where they can just bring in a helicopter and dry it out.
Moving on. From Ultra, the question is, how do you think if cricket is introduced at the college level in the USA and Canada will change the game? Because I honestly believe that America will be a top team in about 7 to 8 years of college cricket. A faster progression than Afghanistan. P.S. Why do you think only recently has the ICC tried to push cricket in America? Sorry for this long post. Congrats on 100 episodes and 50K. I think they're basically asking if college cricket is introduced in the USA and Canada, do you think the nations will have a stronger chance? 100%. March Madness is a huge thing in North America, and that's just college basketball. College football is a huge thing. If they can get varsity teams in big universities, then yeah, for sure. I think you would be better able to speak on this because you have played college cricket in Canada. It's not the highest level, clearly, But you've played it. What is your opinion on this?
I think we should go even deeper than college cricket. We need to go school cricket,
High school
elementary
cricket.
cricket, middle school cricket, high school cricket. And I've played high school cricket. I've played university cricket. But the problem with that stuff is not just to introduce it and have competitions, but actually have sponsorship and funding. Because I remember when I was playing college cricket, there was a lot of lack of funds. Like there was this Canadian team touring to Florida for a few days, facing the U.S. All-Star college team. But I was being asked to pay $1,500 out of my pocket to go to Florida for 4 days, play 2 matches, and come back. I can't afford that money, and I was told to like look for scholarships, and I couldn't get a scholarship from my university. So there needs to be a better pathway to legitimize cricket, so that schools can fund it, so that high schools can have the funding. And I think there's a lot of great programs happening. There's this accounting organization called SEMA. They organize high school cricket. They're getting more into middle school cricket. They've introduced this thing called the Ontario School Cricket Association, where they're having cricket played all across Ontario, where cricket can be played by teams. So
Yeah.
that's where you sort of start and have the kids build an interest for the sport and slowly build it from there. But lots of scope here in Canada and the USA. And if you actually want like genuine local talent to grow, this is the way to do it.
I think the next 15 to 20 years in North American cricket is going to be very interesting. And I hope we're there to pioneer it, because I think this podcast, for that audience, for you guys, we're here for you guys. Moving on to Razia, ABD. I think Razia is also our, she's the Discord mod, right? One of the Discord mods. Razia, shout out to you. She has 2 questions. She asks, funniest childhood memory.
I think mine has to be when you were in Karachi. And there was a time where we were looking to get our house painted, and we were looking for a new tutor. So those 2 things coincided. And there was a point where the doorbell rang. This guy comes to our house, and my dad assumes that he is the painting guy. So my dad takes him around the house, shows him the walls, the colors we're looking for,
The contrast,
the
paint
contrast.
job.
You know what color is there,
Yeah.
what stuff is going to be on the balcony. And the funniest part is that this dude went with my dad, and he's like, "Yeah,
You saw the whole house.
okay, yep,
The whole
that looks
perimeter.
good." And at the end, he's like, "I think you're mistaking who I am. I'm actually the tutor and not the painting guy."
Bro, this is, I think this is genuinely like a scene out of a sitcom. It has to be. And we lived it. We were there, and we could not stop laughing at the fact that our dad thought our math tutor was the paint guy.
And the fact that the tutor went with my dad, and he's
Yeah.
like agreeing with the colors.
It was like a
and the
15-minute
combination.
15-minute walk around through the whole perimeter. And this guy just walked with it in the dark at 8 p.m.
And in the end, he's like, "आप समझ नहीं रहे. मैं वो नहीं हूँ जो आप समझ रहे." I am actually the tutor.
I am the math tutor, tuition. I'm here for the tuition. Oh man, that was wild. Yes, that was off the top of our head. That's the one. It still makes me cry. Second question that Razia had was biryani with aloo or without. I am a without person.
I wouldn't mind aloo.
Okay. Do you
I
prefer it?
wouldn't mind without aloo either.
Do you prefer it?
Aloo for me is like a side character.
Okay.
So
There was we went to school in Karachi, in a school called St. Michael's Convent School, and right across the street was this biryani thela, this cart that sells biryani. And I remember so the small plate was 10 rupees, and the one with the meat, the chicken or whatever, was 25. And we would just get the 10 rupee plate and ask for like lots of aloo and lots of potatoes, and that was just the vibe. So in that scenario, 100% aloo. But I don't know. In real life, I'm not an aloo person. I don't mind it. It's just I wouldn't go out and ask for it.
biryani or nihari?
Biryani. I'm a chawal person, bro. Rice is life.
Chicken or lamb?
Chicken. But if you're talking shawarma, then lamb.
I'm not talking shawarma.
Just in life?
Yeah.
Yeah, chicken.
All right.
Yes. Those were the Patreon questions, guys. Thank you everybody for again asking such lovely questions and bringing out these genuine emotions out of us. You guys can follow the link below to join the Patreon and be part of future Q&As. All right. We're moving over to Discord. Number one from Discord is
Saurabh. Sorry.
Saurabh Goyal. He asks, how do you rate Babar as a test batter considering he just has one Sena 100? Is that true?
That's a great question.
Doesn't he have two?
No.
One
I think
against
he has-
South Africa, one
no,
against...
He doesn't have 100 against South Africa. In South Africa.
Oh, wow.
He
Okay.
only has one century against Australia in Australia.
That was a losing cause.
And
too.
then he had a 97 in that same series where he got
Yeah.
caught out.
Yeah.
So good question. I think Babar Azam in test matches has a long way to go.
A lot of work to
He
do.
had a slow start. Like I think it took him like 20 test matches to get his first 100. And he scored 9 since then. But his average is 45.85, which is
Okay.
it's mediocre. It's above average
Really? For tests?
for test matches.
Really?
For if you're considering a great player, a 45 average is bad. And the concerning part for me is actually Babar Azam's conversion rate. So Babar has 900s and 26 50s, which means that so Babar Azam gets to a 50 35 times in test matches, and only 9 times has he been able to convert his 50s to 100, which shows that Babar Azam is lacking turning starts into big innings. And I also saw a stat by Nazar where he said that every time in test matches there's a break, like a lunch break or a tea break or a drinks break, Babar Azam gets out shortly after the break. So Babar Azam is struggling to switch on and off in the long version of the sport.
Yeah. Man, that 196 in Karachi, I still think about that. He goes out, he scores 250, chases the target down. Hero for life.
Yep.
Imagine that. In Karachi, you chase down, 450 or whatever the target was, some huge number. And they almost did it. Ah, man.
History.
Don't remind me. Aqua Akib asks, if you were part of any Pakistan cricket memory, what would it be and why? Like, I would be Shahid Afridi hitting sixes versus India in that Asia Cup. What would be yours? Very good question. If you could be a part of any, like if you could watch any Pakistan cricket memory live.
I think for me, it has to be the 2017 Champions Trophy because we actually did not watch that match. We were in Etikaaf. So I would love to go back and experience that match.
At the Oval.
Or even on TV.
That's the thing. He's saying that if you were a part of that memory, like if you were in the ground.
Well, you can be part of it virtually.
Okay. This is exactly what they say, guys, when they say dream big. This guy's dream is to watch it on TV. In 2017. He has a time machine. He'll go back to 2017 and go home and watch it.
Some uncles, when you were going to watch the 2019 World Cup, they're like, why are you guys spending money on airfare and tickets?
Yeah.
You know, the kind of enjoyment you get by watching a game on TV is unmatched.
Insane. Yes.
And to them, I would say you've never seen a match in a ground at Lord's.
I would either go back to Lord's 2009 of Pakistan Sri Lanka final, or I would go back to 1992 MCG Pakistan England final. One of those two. Just the 2009 wouldn't be for my love of Shahid Afridi. Just being like mid on, just watching Afridi go crazy. It would be insane.
And 92 is your love for Aqib Javid?
My love for Aqib, my brother right there. No, I just want to, see Pakistan lift something in the MCG would be insane. Yeah, one of those two. Good question, man. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, question from Adam. He says, do you guys get affected by possible hate? And if yes/no, how do you deal with this?
I don't think we get affected by hate.
I think we get a lot of hate, though.
We get a lot of hate.
I think if you're within the cricket podcasting space,
and you have a certain bias.
Yes. If you're biased towards Pakistan or India, there is certain level of hate that you get from the other party. And it is just hard to avoid that, especially also because cricket is quite opinionated. Like I can have an opinion that Babar Azam is a great player. You could say, oh no, he sucks.
And that one opinion could trigger a million people. And you saying Babar Azam sucks could trigger a million people. So it's like a lose-lose kind of thing.
You can never you can never please everybody. So I think we just have to be honest with our opinions.
And we have extremely thick skin.
But we've developed that.
Yeah, it took some time. Like there are moments that I look back and I'm like, I shouldn't have replied to that guy on Twitter. But for the most part, I would say 97% we ignore it. It's just noise. Sometimes some of them are funny. Like the insults are so funny that Bashaar will come to my room and be like, you'll read this one. This is like genuinely funny. And we know that most of those comments are coming from a place of hatred, and that's not how we operate. What we do appreciate is like not a quote unquote negative comment, but someone who wants a genuine discussion and will pull up stats and be like, hey guys, you guys were actually wrong about X and Y. I think this is how it is, then we'll literally engage with that person and be like, yeah. And we admit that we're wrong, like all the time. And so it's easy for us to be like, hey, sorry, wrong information for us or whatever. The hate, man, comes with the job. Honestly, we don't feel it as much anymore. In real life, when we meet people, everybody from the Indian fans, the Pakistani fans, Australian fans, or whatever, they've all been like, you guys are great. Like, love the stuff you do.
I actually have been getting a different kind of hate for Backward Point. I think I told you last time I had a match on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I went to bat. Last wicket needed 8 runs off 4 balls. And as I'm walking in, I am being sledged by this guy using Backward Point.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, look at this guy. Backward Point is coming in. There's gonna be a clip on Backward Point. He's gonna lose the match." He was talking about Iftihar and not being a finisher, and he's not gonna finish this match either. He's no better than Jachu. Lo and behold, I finished the match. We won.
Yeah, you guys can see that on Backward Point's Instagram. And he was right. It got clipped. Moving on, Gilsab asks, is being a cricket content creator a cutthroat environment? Wow, that's a lot of C's, Gilsab. Is being a cricket content creator a cutthroat environment? Is there ever unhealthy competition involving other creators in the same space? Is there drama/politics behind the scenes? There is drama and politics behind the scenes. Is there ever an unhealthy competition involving other? I don't think so. I think for the most part, we love everybody that is doing anything remotely what we're doing, like pro sports, Barta Fast. Those are the guys that we listen to, we look up to, we want to collaborate with. I think with this, because it's such a new thing, the whole cricketing podcasting world, that I feel like the more there are, a rising tide lifts all boats type of situation. I think if we do good, pro sports does good, Barta Fast does good, that means that everybody does good. But if we suck, then Barta Fast also takes a hit, and it's like a chain. So I love everybody who's putting in the work and the hours. There's no drama when it comes to that, but there's a lot of drama in politics when it comes to scheduling and trying to get a player
selling
on,
ideas to certain teams and players,
franchises, players, advertisers, working with marketing agency. That's all that stuff. That's the drama part. But apart from that, being a content creator is actually quite fun. It's not cutthroat. I don't think it's cutthroat. I think it's just put in the hard works, have unique experiences, unique opinions, and you can do well in this, I think.
But if you're getting into this with the idea that you'll be rich and you'll make tons of money, that's not the case.
Nope.
I think the earnings off of YouTube AdSense is peanuts.
For the audience that we have, which is the cricket is mostly watched by subcontinent people. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, okay, Afghanistan is not a subcontinent, but that kind of vibe. And that those CPMs on those are very low. So, if we were doing a podcast on Toronto FC or the Raptors and we got similar numbers, we would have made like 4x the money.
That's why literally the Patreon members help us keep the lights on.
The lights, guys. So remember, the Patreon, if you're a Patreon member, you're the reason why there's lights in our room. Just remember that.
Otherwise, this could be an audio-only podcast.
Yes, it would. Ali Rehan asks, does knowing that Pakistan cricket players personally make it difficult to criticize them publicly? Ooh,
that's a tough one. That's a good one. I think for me, at least, I'd say that my goal with the podcast has always been to be honest and to be saying what's on my mind and what I'm thinking, and not letting anything that I'm doing with the podcast influence my opinions.
Yes.
So if I'm collaborating with Islamabad United, I want to still be able to criticize all the players, and I have. I've criticized Imad, Shadab. I've supported them when they played well. I've criticized them when they were not playing well. And it's the same thing with Azam Khan. Like, Azam is a friend, but at the same time, like, I have to come on this podcast and criticize him. And I think he also acknowledges that and knows that this is part of the job.
I think it got really awkward a little bit in the middle with Azam. His performance was really bad and we were critical of him, and we just had to be true. We had to be true to what we felt, what we believed. Even if that was going to put a potential strain on that friendship, we had to be honest, respectfully honest. We don't take shots like that at anybody. We make fun of everybody kind of, but it's not mean-spirited. And I think Azam was he was very responsive about that. He knew that was the case. That's the line of work he's in. People, if he wants to come and make a comment on us, he can. If he's justified, we'll take it. that's just the type of work we do.
The cool thing about Azam though is that when he first came on the podcast, he I think scrolled through our channel, and one of our clips was you just roasting him.
Ripping him, yeah.
And he saw that.
He sent it to me.
And after seeing that, he still agreed to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
That I think shows that Azam sort of accepts that he needs to improve on certain aspects, and the criticism on him is fair as long as it's not personal.
Yeah. And I think it shows the character of the guy as well. I remember when we were starting the podcast, but before we hit record, he's like, I'm like, yo, we're going to ask some tough questions. Is that okay? He's like, bro, ask me anything. It's fine. It's totally fine. And that just goes to show. So yeah, I don't think it personally makes it very difficult. We did put Shadab in our flop team of the year. I think he'll be fine. Shadab's going to be okay. From AK and Khadija HN. Plans for GT20 Canada. Will there be a player from Pakistan coming on BP for GT20 this season?
Players.
If they get the NOC. That's all I'm going to say.
Big. That's a big NOC.
If people get NOCs, then GT20s for the GT20, then it's happening.
We're gonna try and get whoever comes here. I think
who's coming, by the way?
If we believe we're gonna have an engaging conversation with them, I'd love to get them.
I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about
Asif Ali? Iftikhar Ahmed,
50.
Mohammed
Nawaz, yeah.
Match winner.
Yes, that's the one. We're gonna try our best, guys. Schedules are hectic. People are busy and extremely famous, and we're still only at 50K. I think if we were at 250K, then things would have been different. Conversations would have been different. But as it stands right now, we're hoping, fingers crossed, keep praying, inshallah. That's all from Discord, really? Okay. Instagram questions.
From UGREY and Saad101 and Maida_Furqan. Question is, what jobs do you do primarily? How do you manage both doing a job, and how does BP survive financially? How do you manage podcasting with family commitments?
Oh, wow. I can start with the third one first.
Yeah. Not like, are you saying I don't have a family? Bro, you're my family.
Bro, we're here together.
I manage you.
We're here together. Don't make it about that. The third one, the managing of the family commitments. I remember when my wife Simran was pregnant in labor, I was sitting here recording a podcast with you and Sports Yadi. And, it was the night of the Pakistan-India game. So that's my level of commitment for this podcast. I'm here. And then the next night, my son was born. And the night after that, and the next night my son was born, Pakistan-India game happened. Pakistan lost horribly. Next day, we came home, we did the podcast for an hour and 15 minutes.
In hindsight, that is absolutely wild. I don't know how you pulled that off.
Pulled it off, bro.
I don't know how you did it.
For the pod. So that, yeah, we try our best to, like, I will skip a movie, like if it's like movie date night with my wife, I will skip that and do a podcast if the podcast has to be.
There's actually a lot of sacrifice involved in doing a podcast.
It's because we do the editing and everything as well, right?
Yeah, it's all in-house.
Yeah, we have to make sure that it's done. But we like doing it. There's not qualms, or we're not being regretful. We enjoy this. This is what we want to do full time eventually, inshallah. So, you put the hard hours now. Later, we might be doing this in the studio on a CBC lot. We don't know.
That brings us to the question that what jobs do you guys have? So I work in fintech and financial technology. I work mostly within supply chain and vendor management. That I think should be pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, yawn. But it does pay the bills, so I don't mind. And I am currently working full-time on Backward Point and hoping that I can transition back into corporate work for some time as well. Because, bills got to be paid. But I gave a lot of hours to Backward Point in the past 6 to 8 months. I think it's in a place where it's self-sustaining a little bit, which comes to part 2 of the question, which is how do you manage both and how does BP survive financially? I think the business model, if I were to break it down, it's 50% sponsorships, ads, 25% Patreon, 25% AdSense.
Pretty accurate,
right? That would be good. So once we get like a big deal signed, like the Blue Jay stuff, or if you get a sponsor for the podcast, we got a lot during the World Cup, as you would imagine. T-shirt signings and all that. That feeds the podcast. Basically, so bottom line is we don't make money off of the podcast, but it helps pay the bill. So our editors, our graphic designers, our softwares that we rent, the mics that you see, the cameras, the lights, all of that. That
So
gets
basically, it
funneled
makes
back in.
enough to self-sustain itself.
Yeah.
Like if tomorrow the podcast shuts down, I'm not going to be in any financial loss.
Yes. Correct.
Also, I'm not making financial profit.
Yes. So at this point, that's where we're at. But when me and Bashaar started this, we said, for 2 years, we're not going to check the numbers. We're not going to check the revenue. We're just going to keep doing a podcast once a week. And then we'll check back after 2 years. And, the time's almost up at the end of this year. So we'll have to reevaluate how this continues. But yeah, that's.
But if you ask me, I think we've hit 100 episodes quite quicker than I'd imagined.
Yeah.
Because our goal was 2 years,
100 episodes.
100 episodes. And I think we've gotten there in 18 months.
Yeah. Because we did a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
Honestly, we've done more than 100 at this point. But yeah, I mean, that just goes to show that this is a fun thing.
You can hate the podcast, you can hate our opinion, but one thing you can't hate is the dedication, commitment, and hard work that we put into the channel.
Hustle. Crick with Sid asks, what is the most important lesson you've learned in your journey podcasting international players?
That they're just humans, just like us. Probably they're a lot more skillful in the department of playing cricket. But ultimately, once all the lights are shut down, when they're going home, they're just a regular human being. They have feelings. They check social media. And we sometimes consider them as robots who are supposed to just go out there and perform every single match, which is just not humanly possible.
I think the first season of the GT20, when we first kind of quote unquote blew up, we hung out with a lot of international players. And there was this one moment in the Shane Bond podcast, you guys can actually check this out, where Shane was talking to us and we were talking about something, and just from the back you could just hear Saudi just go off at him and just make this crass jokes. I'm talking really, really mean jokes. And they were all having fun. And that's when I realized this is what these guys actually are. They're just dudes who get to play for an extended period of their lives and get paid well. And once you realize that, and then you take that mindset to when we took that mindset to Islamabad, Naseem, last thing I wanted to talk about was cricket. He wanted to make jokes. He wanted to, tell stories about where he came from, and
he wanted to know more about us.
Yeah, he wanted to know
the food scene in Toronto.
Yeah, he wanted to know a lot about Canada, and that's when you realize that, these guys are just dudes, man. And
I think it's because so when I saw them on TV, you put these players on such a high pedestal.
Yeah.
But once you meet them and once you hang out with them, once you do podcasts with them, you humanize them. And you're like, okay, this guy's just a regular person.
Yeah, but every time I meet Shahid Afridi, I'm still like, that's Shahid Afridi. I don't know. With Afridi, it's just I can never, that's the one person that always gets me starstruck. Thinking about him potentially ever being on the podcast stresses me out. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to say?
He also has quite a dominating personality. Once you meet him,
he's an aura,
he's
bro.
always in a hurry going somewhere.
Yeah.
And I found out that's just a
tactic.
A tactic, so people don't need to ask him for selfies.
Yeah.
Smart.
Love the guy. Zoya Nasir asks, how many years did you guys stay in Pakistan? How were you able to escape this place? So we actually didn't live long in Pakistan. We only lived there for 7 years, from 2005 to 2012. So only 7 years. But those were the formative years.
So when I was between the ages of 7 and 14.
Yeah, and I was 9 and 16. So those were that'll make
so
or break
we
you.
Grew up in Pakistan, basically.
Definitely. And our families was trying to get out of Pakistan for the very longest time. And it was just simple skills visa. My dad applied for it. It took some time. And at that time, a lot of people were able to get those visas. Now it's gotten a lot more tough. And we've been living in Canada since 2012. So 12 years almost?
Yeah, I think we spent the largest part of our lives in Canada now.
Yeah, in Canada.
If I were to make a pie chart of the places we've lived, it's USA, Saudi Arabia, where we were born, Pakistan, and then Canada would be the largest chunk.
That would be the largest chunk, yeah. 100%.
Question from Nami.99. Will Mikaeel represent Canada or Pakistan? And will he be a batter or bowler?
Man, that's a very good question. I've actually been thinking about this for the Canada-Pakistan thing. If he's really good, why not Pakistan? Because he can do that. And if he's good but not great, then Canada will do. I think Canada will take him. What do you think?
What if Canadian cricket is at par with Pakistan cricket?
Oh, that'd be great. Then he should go for Canada, I think. Yeah. I think he will be one of those players that will admire a lot of Pakistan cricket just because of us. But I think he'll go for Canada. I think he's an Oshawa baby, man.
What if he pulls off the opposite of Saurabh Netravalkar? So
Which
like he
is-
gets a degree from here
And then goes to
and then
Pakistan.
goes to Pakistan.
Bro, I'm down for that. That'd be so cool. I mean, if Mikaeel plays for Pakistan, that'd be a dream come true for me. I think that'll be insane for both of us. That'll be insane. But if he's a batter or bowler, man, I don't mind. He's a big baby, and if he's tall, then I'd love for him to be a bowler. I think you would love that too. If he's just like a quick, zippy 135, 140K bowler, that'd be amazing. But if he's a batter too, like, doesn't matter.
Fast bowling sometimes is too much effort. I would try to convince him to be a spinner.
Yeah?
Leg spinning, all under.
Ooh, try that really.
Yeah.
I'm down. But he can do whatever he wants. I'm all for sports. I think he should play any sports that he wants. I think that'll be great. So the next question is from Sunny Ashraf 3, who is also our uncle, Sunny Aung. He says, what would be your dream interview? From any
Virat
sports?
Kohli.
From any sports?
Virat Kohli.
From any sports?
Virat Kohli.
Any sport?
Virat.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
I guess. For me, it would probably be a 2-hour podcast with Michael Jordan about cricket.
It might not be 2 hours then.
It's gonna be 2 hours. I'll make it happen.
Okay.
What? You don't like it?
No, I don't think he would have much to say about cricket.
Yeah, but like he's a sports person, and I just like start talking to him about cricket and be like, "What do you think about this? What do you think about this? How can someone improve here? What is the killer mindset? How do you import that into a game like cricket?" And then just talk to him about his achievements for like 40 minutes.
Okay. I would ask Virat Kohli about like his transformation, his routine, how hard does he work, what's it like being so famous in India? Why does he like vacationing outside of India? And just like what was he doing in his peak years, 2016, 17, 18, 19? Because those numbers are insane. Like his stats in those 4 or 5
Yeah.
years. And I think he's one of the greatest players of the generation.
Yeah, I agree. Good answer. Unknown _ U333 asks, Prime Amir versus Prime Shaheen Afridi.
Prime Amir got Virat Kohli out 2 balls in a row. I don't know if Prime Shaheen was able to do that. Also, we weren't able to see like both players' actual primes because Amir came on the scene and then the spot fixing incident happened. And then he came back 5 years later, which some would say is way beyond his prime. Shaheen Afridi was reaching his prime and then he had back-to-back knee injuries. So I don't think we've seen Shaheen's prime either.
We saw like a glimpse of it 2021.
What's your take?
Yeah, Prime Amir. That's Prime Shaheen is good, but Prime Amir is like, yeah, that's where it's at. Muhammad Naeem asks, where does the name Backward Point come from?
I wanted to have a name for the podcast that was a play on the field positioning, plus just having it to be backward point. So backward point is like you have to be the team's best fielder to field at backward point, and also just it's a play on the name. Like you
Yeah.
have a backward point.
Yeah, you have a point that's not
Exactly.
straightforward. It's
And I
backward.
think we don't take this podcast too seriously. Some people who listen do take it very, very seriously.
Sometimes we take it seriously.
So occasionally, we'll take
I
it seriously.
went back and listened to our Pakistan India and Pakistan USA game, and I was like, damn, those boys were going through it.
We try to keep the podcast lighthearted, but this Pakistan team, man, like we
They don't let us.
They don't let us.
They don't allow that lightheartedness. Yeah, so that's where Backward Point comes from. We had a few different iterations of this podcast, a few different names for it. And yeah, Backward Point is, I think, the best one. I think people remember us from Backward Point. Backward Point boys also sound nice.
BP.
Our fans are called Backward Pointers. No?
Who?
I don't know. You guys want to be
When?
called back? You guys want to be called Backward Pointers? I don't know. I think it's a fun name.
You
fine.
know what's funny? I sometimes go back and I look at just some of the drawings I made a couple of years back for when I was trying to draft the Backward Point logo. And looking back at it now from how far we've come, that is a journey. I might just like cut it out and frame it somewhere.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I have a notebook where we were jotting down ideas of how we're going to take this podcast further. Man, crazy. 100th episode, 50,000 subscribers. It's wild, man. It's wild. Twitter and X questions, and these are the last 4 before we wrap up. From our friend Behram Kazi. Top 3 cricket podcasters you would want to collaborate with. Behram, just say it, brother. You want us to be on the podcast. We want you to be on the podcast. it's a vibe at this point. And we're just teasing each other.
Pro Sports X BP almost happened
It
when
did.
we were in February in Pakistan.
Yes.
We were just way too busy when we were in Islamabad, so it wasn't able to. We weren't able to
I
schedule
feel like
it.
they reached out after.
It's because we posted that we were in Islamabad, even though we were in Karachi.
Oh yeah. We were posting Islamabad stuff, and we had gone to Karachi. Yes, but next time, if Vedam you're in Toronto, if Saad you're in Toronto, if we're in Islamabad, which could most likely happen for next year, then yeah, 100% it's happening. And also, who else? Butta Fast also might be happening.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Hint, wink, wink. Something might be happening there. Who else?
TGC.
TGC, yes, 100%. I'd love to collaborate with them. I think people think we have some kind of beef because we made fun of them, but
would you ever collaborate with Wasi and Afi?
Yeah, actually, that would be fun.
Yo, just two crazy multiverses coming together.
Insane. That would be insane. Amir asks, happiest and saddest moment as Pakistan cricket fans. Happiest moment was 2017 Champions Trophy for me.
Happiest for me was the 2009 T20 World Cup win.
Was it?
It was.
I think 17 was tougher.
I didn't experience 17. I was in the masjid.
Yeah, but Sunny Mamu came and told you what happened.
I didn't live through it.
Okay, fair enough. Whatever that experience was for me, I loved it. I think just beating India in a final is insane.
In 2009, like you actually won a World Cup after 1992.
Yeah, it was crazy. Fair enough. That's not a bad pick. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just saying that for me, 17 was just, you beat India, bro, in a final. It's insane. In the Champions Trophy final. And that was our team wasn't as good at the time. It got better as the years progressed, but that was as you say in slang, like bacha team. We didn't really have a solid anything, and we pulled it off. So kudos to us. And the saddest moment as a Pakistan cricket fan, probably the spot fixing.
Yeah, has to be
2010. That was tough.
I was at the time 12 years old, and Muhammad Amir, Muhammad Asif were my favorite bowlers.
Yeah,
I would look up to them. And I would try my best to copy Muhammad Amir's bowling action. I wanted to be him. And to find out that he's been caught doing this stuff, it was so embarrassing.
Yeah.
On the international media. And just the fact that we had lost 3 of our brightest stars.
Yeah.
Like Muhammad Asif and Muhammad Amir will forever be the biggest what ifs of Pakistan cricket.
Yeah, 100%. 100% they will be. From Shabazz, if you got a chance to be in the playing 11 of any team aside from Pakistan, which team would it be? Yo, if I can make it to the Indian playing 11, that's insane. I'm in every single team forever. Yo, those guys play hard, man. It's so rigorous.
Let me update this question to any playing 11 of any era.
Oh, it has to be the 2007 Australian team.
Same. Just the Australian team of the 2000s. That was a dynasty.
Who'd you take out?
I would love to be Waterboy.
Yeah.
I may be too unskillful to even give them water.
Yeah, those were I'm because of the cricket season going on right now, I've been watching a lot of Shane Warne masterclasses on the spin, on mindset, on field setting, on what you should be looking at when you're bowling, where you should be thinking of a batter is hitting you for sixes, all that stuff. And man, just taken away from us way too soon. Just a gem of a human being and an amazing cricketer. And that's just one component of that 2007 Australian team. So that'd be crazy. Last question, actually. Well, we ran through these pretty fast. Arun B asks, predict cricket in 2035. Test cricket, ODIs, T20s.
I think the big 3 will continue to keep Test cricket alive. Like they'll keep playing those Border Gavaskar series, the Ashes. That will sort of keep Test cricket afloat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there continues to be an audience that likes to watch Test cricket. You watch Test matches in Australia, in England, and nearly every day is sold out, right? So I think that's Test cricket will stay a thing. It might not grow, but it'll just continue to sustain itself. ODIs, I'm not too sure about that. I think it's the biggest tournament is still the ODI World Cup. Like that is still the biggest
Prestige.
win in cricket. It's the oldest tournament. It's a legit tournament. I think I heard some Indians talk about how they weren't super satisfied with India winning the T20 World Cup, and for them winning the ODI World Cup last year would have meant a lot more.
100%. That's a tougher. It's a more challenging task It's tougher on the teams. It actually tests you multiple times in that one game. I agree. I think ODI is a complete cricket format. But yeah, I think it's going to be reduced to just that World Cup and Champions trophies and a few ODIs 6 months before those events, which is a sad state of affairs. T20s will just be all of the rage. But I do want to mention this one thing. When TikTok was coming out and when short form was becoming a thing, people said, oh, this is the death of long form media. This is it. It's over. And the amount of TV that I've watched since TikTok's been a thing has doubled. By TV, I mean TV shows. The Bear, for example, is one of my favorite TV shows on TV right now. And it's amazing. And it's 10 episodes, 40 minutes each.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. I think everybody should go watch The Bear. And same thing, as you saw the rise of TikTok and short form content, you saw the rise of podcasts and long form content as well. There is an appetite for that, and there will forever be an appetite for long, juicy conversations of this nature and long, juicy content forever. And what I'm trying to say is T20 will be huge, but so will Test cricket. Both will coexist actually really well. What will be gone from our consciousness will be ODIs. Bilateral ODIs will just not be a thing. And I think triangular, quadrangular cups, that's the future of ODI cricket, in my opinion. That's the future of bilateral series. You just change them into cups. Give it stakes, give it just give it a cup, give it a stakes, give me high quality teams, throw in an associate nation as well, just so they can get experience. I'm in.
Question for me.
Oh, okay.
Last question of
Okay.
this Ask Me Anything. What has been Backward Point's best episode so far?
Ooh. Including Islamabad pods as well?
All pods of all time.
Best podcast episode for Backward Point. Ooh. Do you have an answer for this?
Yeah.
What's up?
The trick question, actually. The answer is it's the podcast that I haven't done yet.
Oh, okay.
It's this is what Picasso said when you used to ask him, what's your best painting? And he would say, it's the one that I haven't made yet. So Backward Point's best episode is the one that we haven't shot yet.
I think it's going to be the Virat Kohli episode.
One day.
It'll happen. Watch you guys. I'm wearing a Pakistani emblem here, and I'm saying that Virat Kohli is going to be on Backward Point in a few years. I don't know when. Hopefully soon. But that if we get Virat on the podcast, oh my God, it's going to be. Give me 2 hours with Virat Kohli. It's over. It's over. Like, people think that beer biceps and when Veer asks those deep questions,
That might happen before, like, Virat Kohli on beer biceps might happen before Virat Kohli on Backward Point.
whatever. But when it happens on BP, oh my God, it's over. That's it. That's
Babar
it.
Azam on BP. When?
Yo, could be like in the next 2 weeks or could be in a long time. We don't know. Fingers crossed, hoping it happens soon. Yeah, I mean, thank you everybody for sending in your questions. This was insanely fun. I didn't think I'd laugh this much. And ask us anything. And somehow still more questions about cricket than I like. But hey, nobody got canceled today. So I'm happy about that. And just thank you for your support. We made 100 episodes. Here's to 1,000 more. Genuinely, there's going to be so many more Backward Point episodes. Here's to 50,000 subs. Here's to 500,000 more. And we're just going to keep growing and keep doing this thing and keep providing straight from the heart cricket content for you guys.
Question for everyone that's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Comment down below. Where do you listen to Backward Point? Is it like while you're driving, when you're in the gym, when you're at work, when you're studying, or you're playing in the background? Let us know when and how you consume our episodes.
Do you consume our episodes?
I do.
How do you listen to Backward Point?
When I'm going to the gym.
Yeah, me too. I listen to the car just to see how the audio levels are doing. And then every now and then I'll put it on while I'm walking, and my wife will just peer in from the treadmill next to me and be like, "Are you watching yourself?"
How self-obsessed are you?
And what I say is, "No, I'm watching Bashaar." That's what I say.
Sometimes when I rehear the podcast, I'm laughing because I'm like, that's so funny.
You're such a funny guy.
Like, I forgot I said that.
That's such a funny joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun one to rewatch.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Check out the links below. And we'll be back to business as usual for the next pod and so on and so forth. Keep an eye out on Backward Point on the socials, on the channel. GT20 is happening in Canada in a couple of weeks. that means big things for us. Just keep an eye out on that.
Cheers.
Cheers.